Welcome to the DLLS Rangers Weekly Podcast, now part of the All City Network. Hit the subscribe button for YouTube and also become a DLLS diehard at www.alldlls.com. Now here's Jeff and John. Hey everybody, welcome to the DLLS Rangers Weekly Podcast. This is episode number 15 at DLLS. And today we're going to do a year in review of the Rangers. It is the last week before we head to our next week. We're just not doing it. It's vacation week. For me, and I mean, are y'all doing any shows next week?
Yes, we are doing shows next week on
the Daily Show.
Yeah, Monday, Thursday, Friday, I think.
Thursday, Friday.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to Illinois. I'll bring my computer. If breaking news comes, if you want to jump on, call me. I'll jump on because I may want to get away from my in-laws.
Well, I'm going to Colorado. We're going to fly up Christmas night and then come back. New Year's Eve, so I'll be doing shows remotely as well.
Okay.
But yeah, so a little lighter schedule, as it should be. But still, we'll go 4 times New Year's week, and there's still lots to talk about.
Let's tell you what this show is. So Kennedy Landry from MLB.com and Sean McFarland from the Dallas Morning News. I just know him as Sean. I mean, he's going to be joining us in a little bit. We did a show mid-season, guys, where we kind of went over the mid-season. We're going to do the year in review since we're coming to the end of the year, talk about everything that's happened this season and what happened there. You and I are going to talk about current news. Hey, before anything, hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Go to DLLS_sports here on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, guys. They're up to 11,000, almost 12,000 people. We need to get this channel itself up that high too, so hit that subscribe here. But if not, hit that one at least because you can get these videos also. Hey, that's how this thing builds up, and we keep going with this great Rangers coverage because, Jeff and I do it all the way through the minor leagues. The Daily Show does too. They're doing great. It's been a lot of fun with DLLS. So become a DLLS, what is it called?
Diehard.
A DLLS diehard. You can tell I'm a part-time employee and not a full-time. All right. So today, we got to get into some stuff today about what's going on now. Let's first just hit it off. Sasaki news. He has been posted. When do we think we're going to hear something?
I'm not sure. It's a dead period for international signings right now.
Okay.
So that doesn't mean you can't negotiate. So I would imagine that the last we heard during the winter meetings, he was en route to the United States
to start meeting
with his agent and kind of lining those ducks up, trying to figure out what Sasaki really wants in a team. Teams were told to send proposals into a box folder, and they would evaluate them, make their decisions. Then they're going to meet with teams at a central location, kind of like a first round of interviews, I guess. And then from there, if there is a second round needed, they would probably be in-person visits. So you might see the player and the agent go to the ballparks, check it out. I would think that I know if I were a player, I'd want to do that. I'd want to see where I would be spending my next, however many years, of my career, especially if I'm from Japan and don't know the area. What if I know Tokyo is a big city, but Sasaki is from the country in Japan. Yeah. So, does he want to fly to New York and, go to Manhattan and see how crazy it can be there? Does he want to go to Seattle and experience the weather? But to see the ballpark would be critical in my mind. And if he goes to the Globe Life Field, the Rangers are going to have a decided advantage there. It's the newest ballpark. The amenities for the home team are unbelievable.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I would suspect that
the Metroplex. He needs to come around here, get some good barbecue, check out stuff, see what's going on in the Metroplex.
But I would suspect that teams are that the process has definitely gotten down the road from last week. Okay. It's just this is going to be something that's done in silence for a while.
You got it. What's your prediction of when we'll know something?
Well, he has to sign by January 23rd.
Okay.
He can't start signing until the 15th. And
I got to guess around the 15th, he's probably going to know.
well, there's going to be holidays and all of that stuff coming up.
Right.
Teams, of course, always work. But I would think that they would respect the process and the holiday season for the teams. But I would think that right after New Year that teams will know if they're in or not. If they have to go to, let's say, California, to make a presentation, and then if they make the cut, maybe that last week. Because the thing is it's very interesting with him. Teams aren't allowed to discuss the long term, and what money might lie ahead. In fact, Joe Wolf, his agent, said a team can't even promise to put him on the 40-man roster when they're talking to him. This is a minor league contract, with a bonus from the international signing pool.
Right.
Obviously, he's going to end up on the 40, so they don't need to say that, but they can't mention it. That's just kind of the rules. So,
I got to tell you right there that also is more attractive. Let's say it's the Rangers. I don't care who it is, but let's say it's the Rangers. He comes in on the minor league deal. You're obviously set up for him to be in this rotation and go. But maybe during spring, a calf muscle starts hurting. Something happens there. You send him to the minors. You don't put him on the 40 yet, and you wait till he gets healthy and going, and you can play with your 40-man roster for a few more days or a week or whatever before you're ready to bring him in to hit that rotation or something like that. I mean, obviously that's one. But that's available for every team. Mm-hmm. They're going to wait to put him on the 40-man till the last day of spring training, even if they know he's making the rotation. So that's the way that works. That's a little attractive too.
Well, and one of my buddies in the media in Japan, when he was drafted and signed with Chiba, he was interested in going to the minor leagues to develop.
Really?
And they didn't allow that to happen. I mean, this is a guy who's still 23. You've seen him; he's skinny as a rail.
He's not even real tall, right? He's about 6'1", 6'1", maybe.
So I'm not sure about that. He's taller than Yamamoto, but Yamamoto's in the 5'10" range,
right?
There's some speculation that he would be open to pitching in the minor leagues to further his development. I don't know. This friend of mine also said that he's heard that Sasaki was injured at the end of last season and was pitching through some shoulder pain. So maybe he has to rehab. Maybe he won't be ready for opening day. I don't.
Which is not an issue.
And these are things that again we don't really know about because it's just not the same as far as teams talking about injuries over there. It just isn't like it is here. So there are a lot of unknowns, some things that probably need to be answered, but the process, the wheels are in motion. It's a 45-day window. It opened on the Monday, I think, of the winter meetings. So what day was that? What are we on now? Let's see. I got to work backwards. The 9th was the first day of the winter meeting. So we're 10 days into this thing, so plenty of time to get it done. There will be no issues for the player or the team to get the deal done. And even there might be time for him to decide who he wants to go to and not reach a deal, and then go back to his second choice. I mean, there's a lot of ways that this can get done.
But
a lot of opportunities
you heard
for
he's
the
in
Rangers.
the States.
That's what I heard. Now maybe he's not anymore. Maybe he went home, but I heard the agent say he's en route here. So, lots to talk about.
All right. So other news, not a lot of front. There's a couple of minor league signings that the Rangers have done.
Yeah. And the team hasn't announced them, and they're not big deals. They're
in our eyes.
It's depth. Yeah. They'll probably be invited to spring training. Given a chance to make the roster.
They got 100 lockers in that spring training.
Well, this is just typical stuff. This happens every spring.
Sure, absolutely.
They'll probably bring in I don't know, 8 to 10 pitchers.
Yeah.
On NRIs, they'll get some catching depth, some veteran
They
catchers.
just did. Barnhart.
Oh, that's right. and
But he's coming on a minor league.
and he's like a great defensive catcher.
Absolutely.
But yeah, he'll be on a minor league deal. They'll have internal invites, guys from the minor leagues who aren't on the 40-man roster. So, geez, I don't want to speculate on those, but
Kyoto, you got to imagine he's going.
Well, he's on the 40-man, so
that's right. So
he'll be there. So let's speculate. Blaine Krim,
sure,
easy. Dane Acker, yeah. I think has earned the right this year.
He's never been right.
He's never been a major league.
He's dealt with some injuries too, though,
right,
so
right.
Okay.
Yeah, so guys like that, more advanced prospects who could help the major league team. Well, yeah, like Skylar Hales could
He's
be a guy
option. He's a reliever.
Yeah,
option.
he throws 100 miles per hour. So guys that if you think they could be in the major leagues this year and help the big league club out, then you'll see them. And typically it's it can vary. In the past, it's been a huge group here recently, but it doesn't have to be. It could just be a handful of guys. It'd be guys that show up to spring training early and are used as backups or jicks just in case players in those early games before minor league camp starts. So there are a lot of ways to do it, but those are probably one of the last things that we'll learn about.
Right. The guys they're signing now, they see this could potentially be depth for sure. I mean, they're jumping.
Well, and there might be competition for these guys. They might have a couple opportunities.
Do they sweeten those deals with, hey, if you make the club, you'll get this much, or
they do? Yeah. That's So, and those are details that will come out when they're announced. It'll be like, minor league deal, and he can make $1.5 million if he's in the big leagues.
He's in the big leagues, and that prorates if he doesn't start the season and he goes up,
right?
Whatever,
right.
And then there's usually guys an out in there, so maybe a month into the season.
Well, I would imagine that Tucker Barnhart would have an out.
Sure, he's not in the big leagues by a month,
or even at a certain point in spring training, if he has an opportunity to go,
somebody needs
to a big league team and be put on a big league roster, and it's just the way it is in the business. The teams don't block that. They let them go.
There's no way they would do that.
Yes,
because and it's in the business I'm in too. You don't F up that relationship in case that falls apart where he goes and you still could use him. He feels good to come back here. Hey, the Rangers worked with me. They let me go take my big league opportunity. Now I'm back DFA. I'm a free agent. I'll go back and help their AAA team, and because I know they'll work with me. That means you don't burn bridges, period.
Yeah.
Unless you don't give a shit whatsoever about whether that guy ever comes back. But I mean, that's kind of on that. I saw an interesting trade proposal. Now, the Rangers keep saying they are not looking for any more starting pitching. Of course, Sasaki's a different thing.
Yeah.
But I saw, did you see the trade proposal that was kind of thrown out yesterday for Dylan Cease?
No, I didn't see it.
Okay, so I don't know who threw it out there. These are just people that throw them out. MLB nerds, or I forget what it was. There's a few of them I follow, but it was interesting. It was Leiter, Smith, and there was one more minor leaguer, young minor leaguer pitcher for Cease, who's still under control through 2026. He's just arbitration eligible this year.
Yeah,
he had a great year. I mean, Dylan Cease would be a great addition. That's a lot to give up.
Yeah, I thought he was a rental. Would be a rental this year, but
it says free agent 2026.
Yeah,
so after the season.
Yeah, so he's got 1 year left of
arbitration. Okay.
Yeah, and
but maybe you get him in here. You maybe could extend him.
Yeah, I don't. But that's
he's
just
only
it.
28.
You're not going to for 1 year.
You're not going to give up that much.
You're not going to give up a ton. So I get it. But let's again, they're going to be open to opportunities for a starting pitcher. But right now, it's not their priority.
Well, right now they're looking bullpen.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
There's been some rumors too about what's his name, left-hander from the Padres,
Tanner Scott.
Yeah. The closer that now, is he a free agent?
He is. Okay. Yeah.
And there have been some people that have predicted maybe that might be somebody. I mean, I'm a big Kirby Yates fan. But I mean, and really like Yates, and I think they could get him back on a good deal, or even Robertson too, who was fantastic. And both of those guys were easy to deal with too in media. But so you hear those names. Are there any bats being bannered?
You still hear Jock Peterson's name, but Chris Young said last week that a bat is not their priority.
Nate Lowe is not horrible, damn it.
Well, it's another situation where they'll be, they'd be interested if the right deal came along, but
Sure.
that's not what they're looking for. They have a bunch of position players already.
And their lineup is pretty damn stout.
Yeah, you gotta. There is a logjam though. Do you want to have? If you're trying to get at bats for Jake Berger, Nathaniel Lowe, and Josh Smith,
yeah,
what do you do with Ezekiel Duran?
That's a guy,
and he's too good to be at AAA.
Yep.
All right. So do you try to move him? Do you try to move Josh Smith? Nathaniel Lowe, I think people are speculating on that because he makes a lot of money,
right?
And if the Rangers want to get creative, and add, they have a lot of bullpen work they can do. If they want to build a badass bullpen, well, then maybe they free up the money to do so by trading Nathaniel Lowe. And I mean, Nathaniel Lowe's a good player. All right. 2.7 WAR player is pretty good. They don't grow on trees. So,
yeah.
And the way he goes about it is mostly defense and on base. But, if he can hit 20 to 25 home runs.
He still hit 265 last year. I know he didn't have 25 home runs, but.
Right. And but that's the deal. I mean, the first base is a power position. He knows that.
He talks about that all the time.
Right.
He's got to up his power. But who's out there that you're not going to have to spend 20 to 25 million for?
Well, nobody that would be an upgrade.
That's the thing.
Do you think Paul Goldschmidt would work? I don't know.
What's he, about 47 now or something?
He's going to be 38, I think. And I
don't care who you are and how great a shape you keep yourself in. When you get past 35 years old, things change in your body. They don't recover as quickly.
Yeah, he won the National League MVP in 2022, and
right.
That's not that long ago. But he declined last year, or the year in 2023, and really took a dip this last year. So I don't know, but he's a native Texan. Maybe he'd be reinvigorated playing. He's from the Houston area, but playing close to home. And we'll see what happens there. But again, I think that just and a lot of it might be posturing, but the way that the Rangers are speaking is that they'll be able to pull off getting everybody at bats.
Yeah.
And by everybody, I mean Jake Berger, Nathaniel Lowe, and Josh Smith.
Yeah.
What happens with Ezekiel Duran, how the bench looks at the end of the day, whether it's, whoever the fourth outfielder becomes, whether that's Leody Taveras or Evan Carter, to start the season. I don't know. It'll play itself out. But
Josh Smith can play left field too.
He can. Yeah.
That's not going to be your top three guys unless he's hitting 330. And starting to show a little power. Maybe he slides into hey, we need to keep you in there every day. Maybe you're going to play left field 3 days a week, something like that. But that's going to put out Carter or Taveras if Taveras is still here, because that what's his name, after the way he finished the season, Langford, he's going to be he's going to be playing every day.
Well, yeah, I don't think that's any question.
No, it's Carter that you worry about his health coming back, which he seems to be ready to go. Taveras, who everybody just gives up on Taveras, who I still like. He's had some defensive muffs out there a couple times, but he's really right now the guy that's probably odd man out right now. So he might.
Well, yeah, I mean,
that's your fourth outfielder though. That's not bad.
But are you sure Evan Carter's healthy? Is he an everyday player? I would say not yet.
Sure.
He was pretty miserable against left-handers last year and has been in his career. So.
Jankowski's still out.
We got to figure it out. I know your boy Jankowski's out there. I mean, he's my boy. He's everybody's boy. Everybody likes Travis.
Everybody likes Travis, and the guy. I've said it over and over and over and over. A guy that knows my job's to sit on the end of the bench. I don't have to play every day. Come in and pinch hit, pinch run. I can play good defense. that guy's important. And some of those guys like Jankowski may be more valuable than someone like Tavares who wants to be playing every day, or someone like Ezekiel Duran who thinks he wants to play every day. Someone like that, when you can put a guy, you've always got to have a guy down on that bench that's fine sitting there, being that he's that extra guy, and he knows it. That's why his career the last 3 years has been that. He's not going to be a starter in Major League Baseball.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to be a starter unless they want to bring him in somewhere, and because they've got an outfielder that's not quite ready, and he's going to start half the season. That's basically it. But he wants to win, and that's why he had some better offers last year.
Right.
And he sat back on it and then waited for the Rangers, and the Rangers made him a big league deal. I don't know that he'll get a big league deal this year. Maybe.
Depends on what the market does. He did not have a great year, but he's a super defensive player, really good base runner.
I keep thinking about that home run he stole.
He can still help a winning team.
Sure.
That's and you need a guy like that. Now, if the Rangers are dead set on making Evan Carter an everyday player, well, then Leody Taveras becomes that guy. But I do think that, if someone's going to put a gun to my head right now, I think the opening day outfield is going to be Wyatt Langford, Leody Taveras, and Adolis Garcia.
Okay.
So
fair. And then that's going to put Carter on the bench or something to that effect. And then that's probably doesn't maybe leave a spot for Jankowski.
Yeah, well, you're going to have 4 guys on your bench, and always the other catcher is always the guy. So it'll probably be on opening day. Opening day will probably be a Gashioka on the bench, I would think. Then you'll have let's say, Josh Smith. Okay. Then you're going to have
Leody.
Carter or Leody.
Yeah.
So that leaves you one spot. And right now it looks like it's Duran. Okay.
Yeah.
So
who's more of an infield guy.
Yeah. So, if in that scenario, it looks like Duran's if the roster stays the same, then maybe Duran is your backup first baseman, but you still have old Jake Berger over there. So it's a
good little lineup right now.
Yeah.
It's a good problem to have.
Again, I don't like Duran on the bench just because we and this is the same with Josh Smith too. When they're younger guys, and when they don't get regular bats, they aren't very good. When they get regular bats, they're pretty good.
Yeah, they're streaky. He's streaky too.
So it just seems like it seems like he has more value than both of them have more value than being super utility guys to the right.
Why you wonder if one of those two isn't going to be moved?
Sure.
I mean, really, let's be honest. I'll tell you this. If Josh Smith is moved, Ezekiel Duran is on the Rangers. They're not going to get rid of both.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
And if Ezekiel Duran is moved, it means they've got an idea for Josh Smith, and he's staying with this team, who right now is probably more valuable in the sense, to me, just for the fact that defensively he's probably better because he's just smooth.
Well, and
he can play some outfield.
Ezekiel Duran played 7 positions last year.
Yeah, he did play in the outfield.
He can do a lot.
Yeah.
He made he threw out guys from right field. He threw out a guy from left field. He's got the big arm. Okay. He can do a lot. So I don't know. I don't know what you do, and they're,
it's intriguing.
It is.
They're sitting so much better than they were going into last season, where you still had wonders because about this time last offseason, you were finding out, well, there was a sports hernia. So he had surgery for Corey Seager. And then these injury things had already popped up and you were starting to hear about them. And they didn't do a lot in the offseason. But this year they've stepped out and gone. They have kind of gone out and gone this offseason.
Yeah, I think I think that within the next couple weeks, I think before New Year's, the Rangers will get something else done. It just seems like maybe they opened the offseason with a plan. They targeted the guys they wanted and got them.
Yeah.
The winter meetings might have helped make some more things clear with meetings with teams and agents. So, now they move forward with that knowledge. And Chris Young, when this front office puts a target on a guy's back and they want him, they go get him. Yeah. So, no closers have signed. That could be a good thing or a bad thing.
Right.
I don't know if you want to be the one who sets the market, because maybe there's value after you make the signing. Maybe you overshoot, whatever. But we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
But I would expect them to sign a closer you've heard of, and then I think a couple other relievers. A guy on the rebound.
Yeah.
Shoot, AJ Minter
Yeah.
is a guy. Jorge Lopez is a guy who saved a bunch of games not that long ago for the Orioles and was a badass.
So some guys that are coming back.
Some rebound value guys, yeah, but also you've seen the Rangers with Jeff Hoffman, who's become a really good reliever, and so I just I don't know how you're going to get her done.
Is out, right? So he's not going to be
right. He's not going to be ready until June or July. So
yeah,
that's why I think they'll go ahead and add 2 or 3 more. I really do.
All right, one more thing before we get those guys in here. Your article came out this morning. I haven't had a chance to look at it. What's the deal with the TV deal?
Yeah, it's going to become an announcement probably right after the new year, and it's looking like there will be 3 ways to get games over the air, which is like what the Mavericks are doing, and then there'll be some games that you can get linearly, like DirecTV or cable networks, and then there'll be a streaming option as well. So there'll be a lot of ways for fans to see games. They haven't seen games in a long time.
They're going to do their own thing.
They're definitely doing their own thing. Yeah,
okay.
that's been established. But they've made some good progress. They want to get into a bunch of territories like they used to be. You used to be able to go see you could watch a game in Oklahoma City or
right.
Little Rock and parts of Louisiana and New Mexico. So they want to get back to where they were before the Valley disaster.
Okay.
And
that's the streaming service. Some people can pay subscription to the
yeah, but
service.
I mean, if they can get the right cable partners, make it part of your package, and maybe you have to upgrade your cable package for $4 or $5, $6 a month. But if you want to see Rangers games, then it's probably worth it. So we'll see. We'll see.
Well, when you control it all, you can control it all. That's the good thing. When you're the part that controls it all. And I know MLB was always an option, but they don't pay as much as they control it all.
Well, and
they produce everything.
Yeah, that's one thing that doing it on your own, you have to hire a production crew, and
sure.
And they don't work cheap.
Right.
They just don't. So that's something that the Rangers are having to navigate through. But if it works out right, and they get the right sponsors on and all that stuff, they're going to continue to build money and
sure.
So anyway, I think it's things are headed in the right direction on that one.
Well, and that's all you got to do is find your one big title sponsor that's probably going to shoot you so many million per year, and that's going to be that'll be that's a sell. That's a big company sell.
Sure, but then you get your I don't know your ancillary ones.
Sure.
So
and you sell
everything, and they're still good money. Exactly.
They're going to run commercials. All right, guys. Listen, we're going to get Kennedy and Sean in here in just a second, and we're going to talk about the year in review of the Texas Rangers and get ready for the new year. Guys, joining us now from MLB.com, it's beat writer Kennedy Landry, and from the Dallas Morning News, it's Sean McFarland. We had him on halfway through the season, kind of midway point to talk about the season and what was going on. Now we're going to do the year in review. It's the last of the next week is the last week before we go into the end of the year, head into next year. Guys, we thought we'd come back on, just kind of review what's happened and all of that. What are you guys up to?
Ladies first.
Not doing anything right now, sitting around and waiting for Chris Young to hopefully not make some moves in the week leading up to Christmas this year. So we're just chilling, kind of winding down from the winter meetings after that crazy week when CY did make a lot of moves. But yeah, just can't wait for the next season.
Sean, you're at home.
Yeah, I'm in
like where you're from home, not like
beautiful eastern Massachusetts. It's like 35 degrees out. I think it was when I left Dallas on Monday morning. It was 65 degrees at like 5 a.m. It's like a smooth 30-degree difference from there to here. So that's been wonderful. Yeah, hoping for a quiet Christmas, and then I don't know. I feel like I'll get back home and it'll be like spring training time again. So
That's the
comes right
truth.
back.
That's the truth.
Are you covering any bowl games?
Yeah, I will be in Atlanta at the Peach Bowl if Texas beats Clemson, and then I'll just be whatever SMU and Texas do. We'll kind of see going forward. But right now, my New Year's is in the hands of Steve Sarkisian and Quinn Ewers. So we'll see what they want to do and what they want to make me do.
As I've said before, and this makes John mad, my favorite sports outcome of any outcome, like with my kids winning or, TCU Broncos winning, my favorite sports outcome is a Texas football loss. So I've been happy twice this year, and I'm
You're rooting for Clemson.
well, yeah, I would anyway, because one of my good friends went to is a huge Clemson fan, but
The way it is.
yeah, I would root for Vladimir Putin against Texas.
Okay. You know what? We're here to take the abuse. I tell you what. I'm not an alum. I'm just a fan and grew up one. But Kennedy's passion at LSU. We're rivals now, but I've got a lot of respect.
I wouldn't
for
say
LSU.
rivals.
No,
Yeah,
no, no,
yeah,
no.
you
We're
got-
in the same conference.
We're in the same. Well, we're in the same conference now. Is what I'm saying. But they're good. They're two good football programs. Even if one team's down, these are two programs that will be good. Period.
Yeah.
They're going to. They can recruit. They will go get a coach if one doesn't perform.
Brian Kelly.
They've got money. So
We don't need to talk about it. We can talk about a different underperforming team. How about we segue to the Texas Rangers?
Perfect.
absolutely.
Perfect.
Wow.
All right. Well, my I don't know if this is a highlight or not, but Kennedy has introduced me to the vanilla sweet cream cold brew from Starbucks, as Ron Washington calls it, and I can't get away from it. It's now I got to have a couple 3 a week. I'm not a 2 a dayer like Kennedy, but it's a problem I've developed, and I really don't know what to think, whether to thank Kennedy or not. But they are good. They're very good.
It's a good coffee.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my highlight of the year for the Rangers.
You got some advice.
Honestly,
We can
that's
wrap it
like the
up.
peak. Yeah, we don't need to talk about anything else.
No kidding. I mean, that is huge.
Well, okay, so it was a historic year in that they had the opportunity to defend their first World Series. I thought they handled the trophy presentation, the banner, even though it was kind of crooked and initially, and then the ring ceremony, which I was unable to attend but watched. That was cool, and and then it just kind of fell apart. That was it. The All-Star game, not a Rangers event, but at the ballpark, that was cool. Adrian Beltre going to the Hall of Fame was fun. It just seemed like everything good for the Rangers this year was ancillary.
Yeah.
What do you guys have on that?
Yeah, I think you wrapped that up perfectly. Obviously, I think when you come into the season, it's, spring training, everybody talks about what you need to do to repeat and all of those things. And for about like a week and a half, it felt like, oh, hey, like at least they're on a good track here to doing something. And then Josh Young gets hit in the hand with that pitch from the Rays guy,
Phil
Maton.
Maton.
I forgot which Maton it was, but yeah.
Maton.
Maton. Yeah.
Maton.
But yeah, so I mean, that was kind of the beginning of the end, even though it was only 7 games into the season. When you think about it, I mean, obviously Josh Smith stepped up in a big way, probably the biggest highlight of this season, winning a Silver Slugger for a utility man.
That's cool.
And
Yeah.
right, I think that probably is the highlight of the season when you look at how all of this played out. But he filled in admirably. He played really well, but nothing came together after Josh Young got hurt. When I look back at the season, they still led the division, I think, for another like 3.5 weeks before the Mariners finally took over
into late April or May. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was like everything fell apart. Like they were in first place until that trip to Oakland.
The
Where they
double,
had the
the scheduled doubleheader. Oh
And
no!
everything just went to hell after that. And I think we should have seen it coming when they scheduled a doubleheader at the Oakland Coliseum. I think that might have been like
the first week of May.
Yeah. It was like in or around their last day in first place.
Yeah, no, because then they got swept by the Rockies after that. Then they got lost 2 of 3 to Cleveland back at home, and then they fell out of first place. I do remember that. And me and you, Sean, were the only ones in Oakland for that scheduled doubleheader, and it was maybe the longest 4-game series of our lives, even though it was only 3 days. Just so many things happened.
Jason,
but like both games sucked, right? They were bad games because Arrhenius started the first one. He ended up giving like a kind of a heroic effort, I guess, if you will, staying in after like a 50-pitch inning or whatever it was, and then Leiter started the second game, and we'll leave it at that. But
that was like
the Rangers ended up winning. So
but Owen White gave up, I think, 5 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning to bring it to a 1-1 game. When the Rangers should have won like 9-8 and ended up being, or like 9-4 and ended up being 9-8 or something like that. Because
I think Jonathan Hernandez did the same in one of those games.
Because Butch was so pissed. That's right. He walked like 5 guys and got 1 out.
And it was.
I think he threw like 12 straight balls, didn't he?
Yeah,
he did.
God. Yeah. So I mean, that's when we should have known that it wasn't meant to be. I mean, so I'll go season. I texted Kennedy about this last night. I'm very excited about this conclusion I've come to about the 2024 Texas Rangers season year as a whole. I think my highlight was that they didn't do anything to make it worse than it had to be. They didn't make any stupid trades, any bad signings, any reactionary firings or hirings.
Yeah.
Like in response to a bad season. I think the way I phrased it was, you're going to have bad years, but you can only do you want to make it a bad 5 years if you really overreact to that one bad year? And I think that is my highlight to the season, was that you can go into next year and literally feel like it's a clean slate. That's the way I look at it.
Good way to look at it.
And they were good. They didn't make excuses either. They said, look, yes, injuries suck. We've had injuries. That's horrible. But we've underperformed. We haven't performed where we're supposed to. They still felt that this team was the nucleus, was a great team. It's a World Series team. We underperformed. We had injuries. We can't use injuries as an excuse. We need to play better. And that's what it's got to do. And that's refreshing. Nobody needs to get fired. We sucked this year. We had a bad year.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way it was.
Well, maybe if this was the NHL, somebody would have gotten fired. But, they just won the World Series with this pretty much the same exact group. I think honestly, I think Chris Young understood there were some restraints. The financial considerations were legitimate. Not re-signing Jordan Montgomery, I think, was a big deal. They signed Michael Lorenzen, for crying out loud, 2 days before the spring training ended. And so it was incomplete from the start, and you could tell for a team that had a lot of buzz around it at spring training, the players didn't seem to have a lot of buzz.
I gotta say, that's like the personality of this team, though. It just feels like they're as good as they were in 2023. The vibes are clearly better in 2023. I'm not gonna, say it wasn't that, but I feel like they're not the type of team to come in puffing their chests and stuff like that. Anyways,
Still, it just seemed, and maybe it was because the way they handled some of their players, like Garcia and Heim. Holding them back until March before they played them. It just seemed like, there was that weird stretch when Scherzer was gone for a week, that
it was
really,
longer than that.
It was really totally unexplained. And it just felt different. And that that's okay. Maybe they learned from it, but it just they didn't match the hype, the energy, I guess, and Marcus Simeon's not going to do that, and neither is Corey Seager. To your point, Kennedy, but just felt a little different.
I will say,
so
we covered the toy drive last week. That was like the most jovial I'd ever seen any of those guys. Like, it was like Marcus.
Marcus made a joke. I was like, "Who are
Nate
you?"
Lowe was there. Like it felt like everyone was in the best mood I'd seen them since like the clubhouse in Arizona after Game 5.
Well, maybe there was some pressure then. I don't know. Maybe
So
they
I don't
felt
know.
some pressure.
Maybe there's getting a little time off this fall has restored some of the excitement. So
interesting observation.
Well, and they've watched the team go out and make a couple of moves that improve this team. And not to say that last year was bad. They pretty much were running back almost the entire team from the 2023 World Series, less Jordan Montgomery. And then you actually went and signed a couple of good bullpen arms last year who performed well.
Yeah.
But this year they've had a long rest. Everyone seems to be healthy heading into spring training. There's no hernia surprise or surgery or something like that that's popped in.
I'll just wait
So
till
maybe
January.
that's what it is. Maybe they feel like, hey, you know what? Losing sucked. The Rangers did some good things this offseason. Let's get rolling.
Well, this was about the time that we found out about Scherzer's back surgery.
Yeah.
And then Corey was the end of January, which disaster. But okay, so disappointments overall team, but like Adolis, that obviously at the top of the list. Jonah, I'm going to give Jonah a pass. I think he was exhausted, and it got compounded because Andrew Kisner was no good. Leote needs to be better, and then Marcus Simeon needs to be better. He was not a very good leadoff hitter this year. So I think those are that's half your lineup. Well, not quite half. I'm not going to do the math, but it's in the it's
above 30%.
Right about 50%. Yeah. So that's a problem. But the bottom of the lineup not being productive for the top of the lineup was an issue. Bullpen, was great. At least those two guys were. And now they got to be re-signed. On the good side, those two guys, Yates and Robertson. I thought September was a good month, as you saw. Wyatt Langford really come into his own. He was the friggin' AL Player of the Month.
Yeah.
I do want to say it's crazy. He was like 6th in AL Rookie of the Year voting.
Right.
Oh my God.
Right.
Like, and not to sound like a homer, because I did have an AL Rookie of the Year vote, and I voted him 2nd, and I was the only one who voted him that high. But it was like, it was very clear to me that, he got off to a slow start, got hurt, and like nobody checked in on the Rangers again after that. Like, he had like nearly the exact same stats as Colton Cowser. He finished, 2nd or 3rd, whatever. He was top 3. He was a finalist.
Cowser won.
No, Luis Hill won.
Oh, whatever. Yeah, you're right.
Who was like the opposite Wyatt Langford in terms of like great first half and then
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and that's one thing I will say to Rangers, maybe one flaw in their going into 2024. They put a lot of they thought both those two rookies that they had it set with Langford and Carter, not taking into account this is a guy that's never been in the big leagues and another guy that got hot and he's going to start getting scouted heavier. They're probably going to regress some. And I don't think they expected them to not be quite what they were. Not saying they're bad players, but these are also young guys. And they kind of went in saying these are two of our outfielders. And maybe they could have, been more prepared for that, I think.
Yeah, it's
well now Langford's hot coming in.
But there was no doubt that Wyatt Langford was going to open the year in the major leagues.
I think we all
no matter what they said, he was going to be in the majors. The Evan Carter thing is a disappointment because he was injured, not because he didn't play well. The injury probably really limited him, and then he, like the manager said, he lost a year of development. So he's coming into the spring healthy, supposedly, although that little back procedure he had is not a minor procedure.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not a good procedure for somebody who's 21 or 22 to have. You don't want to go down that hill that early in your life. But I don't know that he's an everyday player going forward to start this season. And so people need to tap the brakes on that one. So that's just me.
I was ripped apart when I said I put out numbers that I thought I'd be happy with that Carter had, and they thought, oh no, he's got to hit 300. And I was like, dude, you're talking about a guy that's been in the big leagues for about 3 weeks through the playoffs. I said he's going to not do as well and still be a great player. And of course, he was hurt. That changes the whole outlook of it. But everybody, Ranger fans, World Series, you should come in. Wyatt Langford should hit 30 home runs, hit 300.
30 home runs is crazy.
OPS. Yeah. And it's like this, you got to. And now he looks like a guy that's potentially a 25, 30 home run guy. The way he finished the season, you just got to get going. You got to get rolling and get going. So it certainly looks better, don't you think, heading into this spring?
I think everything looks better heading into this spring. Like the health of the players, like the vibe of the clubhouse. Like it just feels like, obviously last offseason they won a World Series. Like the vibe should have been great heading into spring training, but with all of the injuries, honestly, I kind of forgot that Jonah Loki ended last year with an injury. Like just so many things going into 2023 when we found about Scherzer and like everything. It just feels like if Jacob deGrom will be back, like, and supposedly fully healthy. There are just so many different variables going into 2025 that just seem better.
Yeah, they're not counting on 3 starting pitchers coming off of major operations to save the season.
Right.
And so I think that's a big deal. It's not like, you're not waiting for Jacob deGrom to get healthy. He's healthy. That was another big September thing. Rocker, deGrom, got an idea of what they look like. So, it didn't finish great, but some good signs at the end.
Yeah, you had some encouragement.
Yeah.
What do y'all feel on Sasaki? You think he's going out there, or the Rangers? Do they legitimately have a shot? You think?
Well, it seems like everybody has a shot.
Well,
yeah,
sure.
I mean it seems like they've done their backline work. They've done the scouting. They've put their pitch in. His agent talked at the winter meetings, and I think he said a lot of things that would make you say, "Oh, that sounds like the Rangers." But I think he kind of hedged every single one of his answers, so all 30 teams could make an argument and say, "Oh, he's talking about us." They'd be like, maybe he would do great in a mid-sized city, but I think he could do great in a big city. And it's like, okay, so now you're referencing every city in baseball now.
Yeah.
But I still think what he said was encouraging as it pertains to the Rangers' chances of legitimately going after him.
Yeah, and probably to not reveal too much, but the Rangers seem pretty bullish on their chances. I think that they like, if they get the chance to talk to him, I think they feel good about what they're going to present to him.
It's the CY factor.
Well, maybe. I mean, it's a legit thing.
I think so.
And I think Hideo Nomo was a legit thing for the Padres. I think that might be more important than Yu Darvish, because Nomo can be part of the presentation. So can Darvish technically, but
sure.
You have a front office executive who is going to be able to express the front office's plans and how they're going to take care of them. I don't think it trumps Chris Young, because Nomo's probably not a full-time guy. He's probably like a Michael Young or Ian Kinsler, but I think that's a factor. But Chris Young, god dang, guy's intense. There's no doubt about that.
He's talked some people into coming here that you wondered, wow. I mean, Bochy, that's the one that surprised us all.
Yeah.
Just hit out of nowhere.
Well, DeGrom was the biggest surprise I think ever. I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. DeGrom's vibe. I still feel like DeGrom is like he wanted out of New York. He wanted
he loves it here.
Like that. Like I know it's like it was like a big surprise, but like the more I've thought about it over the last 2 years, I'm like that makes perfect sense. Like with who he is. Yeah,
his personality fits this clubhouse better and this media market. The way he's just more. He's an introvert. He's more laid back. He doesn't have 45 people standing in his locker
Which, if what Sasaki's agent was saying about
Exactly.
his vibe with with whatever apparent beef he has with the Japanese media, I was unaware of that until
Yeah,
his
it's
agent was
pretty
talking
juicy.
about it. But all I know is down in the Bronx or in Queens or in LA, there's going to be 55 people at his locker, and it's much better when it's the four of us. I'll
Yeah.
just say that.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
Japanese will bring their own.
Yeah, I mean,
contingent.
just right, but
but
speaking from
half of Japan is still in LA anyways.
yeah, speaking from experience, you know, of the Darvish factor, you know, it was a huge group the first couple days. The first day was ridiculous of spring training,
Yeah.
and then his first start. But then it was a smaller group, and they all stood to the side. Like there were rules that I don't know if Darvish put them in place or John Blake. They never went to his locker, never. And now that kind of loosened up as he got more comfortable in the, you know, let's say years 3 and 4. But they just kind of stood on the sidelines.
Well, back 3 or 4, how many Japanese media were here every day?
Well, it depended on. Well, I guess they were all road games for the Japanese media, but it was a 10.
10 of them?
I would say pretty dedicated. And that included Sam, you know, who does the TV.
Big fan of Sam.
Oh,
Yeah,
everybody loves Sam.
You rave on Sam all the time.
Sam's my
I think
guy.
I've met him, but I haven't really.
Yeah, but anyway, so we'll see what happens there. But the year has finished on a high note with Evaldi, this Berger fella, Jacob Webb, yeah, whatever. Higashioka, cool, okay. Seems like things are trending the right way, and now bullpen.
Anybody else y'all see that they might, is there another bat they need to go after? Do they need to? I mean, they've got a pretty stout lineup right now with what they've got with Lowe staying here and doing that. What do y'all see? What other moves besides bullpen, obviously?
I would love someone else in the outfield, that can, even if it's a platoon specialist bat that can hit lefties well, you pair him with Carter or Leote. But I think that is priority number 5 after getting 4 bullpen arms. I think there's a lot of things if I'm building out a dream 26-man roster, whatever, bench, all that. But I think the priority has to be is whatever money you have budgeted left to spend, just throw it towards the bullpen. That's what I would do, and I would feel comfortable doing that.
So one of Smith and Duran are.
I don't know. Would you trade Nathaniel Lowe? Kennedy, Landry?
That wasn't the question, but you mentioned middle infielders, and I was just wondering how Justin Foskey was still in this organization. I love the guy so much.
He's such a great kid,
such a nice guy. It just feels insane that he has not been traded for depth or something at some point. But to your question, I personally would not trade Nathaniel Lowe unless I said this during the winter meetings before the Yankees traded for Devin Williams. Unless you're getting an available closer to the all-star caliber of Devin Williams, I am personally not trading Nathaniel Lowe at this point.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder, you trade him, does it lead to a kick-ass closer? Like, you trade away his salary so that you can accommodate Tanner Scott?
Sure. If that's what it leads to, then, obviously there are building blocks to this, and Chris Young is much smarter than me. But I think I only trade Nathaniel Lowe if it is going to lead you to a closer of that caliber.
If there's a plan.
Yeah.
Which CY is going to have a plan, but
Sure.
Right. It just feels like I would not jump the gun at that point with Lowe. He's a Gold Glove, Silver Slugger. I know he lost a lot of power last year, a lot of the slug. They just traded for a first baseman.
There seems like a glut.
Yes.
Which really puts Foscue in no place. He's a guy you thought could move over to first base also. So
I'd trade Duran. I like.
But does he have value right now?
Well, he does he's more valuable than a bench guy. I think he could play
Sure.
for the
He could start for a few.
the White Sox. You know?
I could start for the White Sox.
Probably yes. I could be a utility guy. That's about it. That's all I can do. I'm not fast enough anymore.
All right. So as I put all the pieces together, bad year, finishes well, heading into the new year, and with this club in better shape than it was last year. Fair?
Solid.
I think so.
All right. Well, that's all we needed to hear.
That's
All
what
right.
we got. That's why we did this, guys. Thanks so much for stopping down and doing this. I know holiday plans are coming. Be careful if you're traveling. Sean, you're already there, so I guess you're going to be coming back. But any parting shots before we get out of here?
No shots. Thanks, guys. I thought it was some nice symmetry to do the mid-season update with you guys to add you guys to the year-end update. So
We need to do one right before the
yeah,
season.
we're going to do a season prediction now.
Season prediction when we'll do. We'll all jump on here again.
Yeah, so book that last week of March. So
All
clear
right.
calendars.
All right, guys. Hey, listen, guys, have a great holiday out there for all of you out there. For Kennedy Landry, Sean McFarland, Jeff Wilson, I'm John Moore. And until next time, folks, we'll see you at the yard.